Hey guys, Dr. Dex here. Welcome to the Dr. Dex podcast. My name is Jason Russell. I'm also known as Dr. Dex. I'm accompanied by my son, DJ Studio Man. His name's Calvin.
Hi.
And he secretly runs the whole show. Think of that. Let that sink in for a second. He even made the introduction.
Yeah, the sink's cold.
He even made the what do you call it? The introduction music? The intro and the outro. So today we have a special guest. His name is Clint Holsing.
Holsing, yes.
Holsing, H-U?
H-U-L-S.
Holsing.
Yeah.
Okay,
no van
this whole time I've known you, I've had no van. The whole time I've known you, I've had your name spelt wrong in my phone. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it happens.
It's been a minute. So, Clint, tell us a little bit about yourself. Not a whole bunch, because we like to hit the rewind button before we get super deep into everything. But I want to know what your current status is and what you do and that kind of thing. So go ahead and let it rip.
Yeah, so currently I run and own Cascade Aero Barrier. We're one of the top 10 Aero Barrier dealers in the United States. And what Aero Barrier does is we air seal houses to meet the energy code, and we create healthy, durable, efficient houses by limiting the amount of air leaks that go into a house.
Okay, so it's kind of like, is it part of building science?
Very much so part
Would
of
that be considered?
Very much so part of building science,
okay.
Yeah.
So I've been to a few vendor events where like Sashko, for one, they're sealant company and they're kind of big on that stuff.
For sure.
And they started. I was in this like class all day, and they're covering like all this stuff about building science, and man, I kind of tuned out because I'm like, I work outside, man. I mean, no offense to anybody, but this is not my jam.
We're not air sealing out. We're not air sealing decks.
No, it's almost impossible. I've never tried it, but to air seal a deck, it'd be really, really difficult. Even if you put walls up, I mean, you still got all the gaps to deal with. Yeah, it's just not worth it, man. Of course, though, I have seen several beach cabins that people would turn into houses. I have seen some of the craziest remodels and additions that were not to code, that were not permitted, that people back in the day in the 40s. People were doing well, and they go, oh, let's buy this beach property and we'll put a little cabin on it.
Yeah.
And then they put a little deck on the outside of the cabin. Then the kids come in and go, hey, let's expand this house, and we're just going to build right over the top of this deck. And that's exactly what they did. They just laid down some subfloor right over the decking. And it was like, holy smokes, nothing supported on this joint. Yeah. You know, I mean, they built the house on deck supports.
Farmers are notorious for that.
It's kind of
they did a lot of their own house building out on the farms.
Yeah. Do you have any experience on the farm?
No, I don't. My background, I'm a third generation contractor. My grandpa was a builder in Puyallup, Washington, right in your backyard. Mm-hmm. My dad was a builder. Myself and my brother fell into that. My uncle's a builder. So long-standing builders in the Washington State area.
Well, I actually met you a little bit later in your career, but before we get into that, let's go back. So where'd you grow up? Where were you living when you're in your youth?
So I was born in Bonnie Lake, Washington. Soon after that, we moved to Puyallup, and grew up most of my time in Puyallup. Went to Puyallup High School. Mom and dad both went to Puyallup High School. My grandma went to Puyallup High School.
Oh man, you're my arch rival. You guys were my arch rivals.
Yeah.
From my high school. We were both Vikings. You were the Puyallup Vikings, and we were the Curtis Vikings.
Yeah.
And man, when we played football, it was on.
It
was on. That was always a good rivalry.
Well, we had that team back in the early '90s, late '80s with Billy Joe Hobart and a few NFL players. The Heward brothers both went to the NFL, so they were in my class as well. So, like Brock was.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, I was eight. My senior year was '87. I think I kind of just missed some of that stuff.
Yeah. So my senior year was '94.
You guys were still. Nice. So you're growing up in Bonnie Lake. Elementary school is like pretty standard for everybody. But where'd you go to junior high?
So I went to Ferrucci Junior High. So when I was about 2 years old, my parents moved to Puyallup, and from being born to 15 years old, I lived in 11 different houses because my dad was a builder.
Holy smoke!
And the house that you live in is always the one that sells, as opposed to the spec houses. And I think that's a testament to my mom. She was probably a pretty good decorator. So our house always looked better than the spec houses.
All right. Well, yeah. If somebody sees something, oh, I love this. I want this one right here. No, I don't want you to build me one. I want the one you're. Little do they know, right?
Yeah. And
so you always had to like have it spotless. Like, did you always have to like have your room clean?
We lived in a museum.
All the dishes were always done.
We lived in a museum. It was rough.
Oh. Very militant, I suppose, growing up. But actually, it actually builds good character for you later in life, right? Yeah. So, but that's kind of funny. So what was junior high like? Were you into sports or academics, or what was your thing?
So I was into dirt bikes. I love sports. I love playing basketball. I never played any organized sports. I was always working with my dad. So from a young age, I was on the job site. Working, picking up scraps, doing things, working for my grandpa. But dirt bikes were definitely a part of growing up. And
well, let's talk about that. Yeah. So how old were you when you had your first dirt bike?
I was 12 years old.
Cool. Yeah. And what was it?
A KX80. Or excuse me, a KDX80.
Yeah,
Kawasaki.
Kawasaki?
Yeah.
An 80. Yeah, that's a perfect bike for a young lad, you know? Just something you can rip around on and get a little bit scared, but pretty soon you're in fifth gear with the throttle's fully twisted and you're like, man, I'm just chilling. And I need something more. So was that a 4-stroke?
That was a 2-stroke.
That was a 2-stroke. Yeah. So it had a little more torque
it had a little torque
than a 4-stroke probably.
So yeah, my next bike was a KDX 200. So I stuck with the Kawasaki's and got on a bike that was way too big for me, but I learned how to ride really fast riding a bigger bike. So
were you tipping your leg over to touch the ground when you stop and that kind of thing?
No, I was a big kid. I was always tall for my age.
No?
So
okay.
I never.
Okay, cool.
I was tall, but not bulky. So I was tall and skinny.
I had that issue like when I was on the RM 250s. I was like, I'd have to like slide off the side and put one leg down, you know, but. So did you have a place to ride near your house?
Yeah, so I grew up, you're probably familiar with Gem Heights out off 160th in Puyallup.
Yeah.
There was a Puyallup International, I think, what did they call it? Puyallup Speedway, I think it was called back in the late 60s, early 70s, was a motorcycle and car racing track. So we'd go back there, and then there was all kinds of trails all over the Sunrise area.
Is this Spanaway Speedway, or is this a different one?
No, this is off of Meridian in Puyallup. It was a...
Okay, so yeah, Sunrise, man. That before that got developed, I'm sure that was just a joy to go in there and just rip around.
We could push our bikes down the road and ride for days. It was awesome.
Wow, that is so awesome. Every kid should. Sorry, I never gave you that chance, son. Every kid should have that opportunity.
Yeah.
To get on a motorcycle and just have it. You know, I had a little 80 when I grew up, but I was always short on gasoline. It was tough for me to get because just for different circumstances. But if you had fuel, man, and did you learn to maintain your machines too?
Yeah, so I started wrenching pretty early on my bikes, and that's what actually got me to Puyallup High School, because Puyallup had a mechanics program, and Rogers High School didn't. So we were in the Rogers. I was supposed to go to Rogers, but I transferred to Puyallup because they had a good mechanic program down there, and.
Unfortunately, that's all been kiboshed, it seems like. But nowadays, but man, I mean, I loved wood shop and auto mechanics, and I wish I would have took metal shop. But all those cool classes that we had growing up are now defunct. Yeah. Like it's all about academics and not so much about tradesmen and trade schools and stuff.
It's seriously missing in schools. I know that you talk to any old carpenter around here and around the country, is that the youths need to get into the trades. And you and I are still young guys on job sites sometimes, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. They're supposed to be younger people on the job site taking it on. So it's kind of scary to see where we're going with the trades if we don't get more kids into it.
Yep. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in our bonus episode that we'll shoot for our Patreon channel. But okay, so you're in junior high school, you got your motorcycles, and you go into high school, and you said you went to Puyallup High School?
Yeah. Yeah, so moving around.
What was that like for you?
Moving around was a little difficult. So I mentioned one middle school that I went to, or junior high, but going to a lot of different grade schools and a lot of different different schools and stuff. You gotta, as a boy back in the 80s, you learn to fight your way through school a little bit. So there was some scrapping going on with you get into a new school and you have red hair and you got to defend yourself sometimes. So.
What nationality are you?
English, though. Mostly.
Okay.
Yeah, Welsh, Scottish, that kind of thing. And Dutch.
Gotcha.
And Dutch.
Cool.
So.
Okay. So you you had a few challenges. You learned how to fight.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
I learned how to fight, and I also learned how to keep my mouth shut, because sometimes you teach a lesson by punching somebody in the mouth, and other times you learn a lesson. I learned some lessons and I taught some lessons. But
okay.
It helped. It helped me.
All right. So are you still working in construction in your junior high or high school?
Yes, I worked with my grandpa and my dad most of the way through school, and then just learning the trades. And my grandpa really was a driving force in the business, and he did a lot of things. He taught himself how to do everything. So we, as a builder, my dad and grandpa, and then myself, we were foundation all the way up. So we did the foundation, the framing, siding, roofing, sometimes drywall. Oh. So we were doing quite a bit of the trade. So it wasn't just one particular trade.
You had basically a really great base of knowledge before you graduated high school about construction. You probably knew, like, hey, I'm kind of interested in this or that. So what did you do after you graduated high school? What did you do after that?
Well, when I graduated high school, I decided I didn't want to work for my dad anymore. We kind of butted heads. So I talked to my uncle, and I moved down to Arizona. And my uncle had a welding shop down in Sierra Vista, Arizona. And I went down to work for him and learned a little bit about welding, which was quite the experience. Because in 1994, when I graduated, he said he'd pay me minimum wage. So I moved down there thinking I was going to make minimum wage. And the first paycheck, I found out that Arizona has a different minimum wage than Washington State. So $3.90 an hour was the national minimum wage, when Washington State had a $4.20 minimum wage. So I took a pay cut to move to Arizona to work in the heat and do welding.
Brutal. And how long were you down there for?
I was there for about 6 months. Decided that welding wasn't for me. So I came back to Washington and worked for a couple other builders doing some things. I worked for a developer. And then got the opportunity to work with a friend that owned a detail shop, something totally different than what I'd ever done. He had a detail shop in Tacoma, and I worked for him managing that shop for a little bit, and then bought into it and was a partner in that for a little while.
What was it called?
Super Detail. So I was right next, if you remember Wallabies, it was a restaurant on 38th Street in Tacoma. 38th and South Tacoma Way. We were right next to that. So we did Tacoma Nissan Subaru, Tacoma Dodge. We did a bunch of detailing for different dealerships there. So
cool.
Yeah, it was something different and fun.
And how long? Yeah, absolutely. That's. I actually watch a few guys on Instagram that are detailers or mobile detailers, man, and some of the stuff they do is like, whoa, that's really trick.
Yeah.
That's the techniques and how they beautify a car is cool.
Yeah, I've recently just kind of rediscovered.
So how long
I've kind of rediscovered the whole love of detailing, and bought some more equipment for our shop. So we've been doing a little bit of that, and it's a lot of fun to keep cars. You want to keep your car nice, and especially with company vehicles, I think it's important to keep things clean and represent the company in a good way. So I get to do some cleaning and teach the guys also how to clean the cars the right way.
Yeah. There you go. Keep the company vehicles beautiful. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so how long did you have the detail shop for?
So that was probably about 2 years, and then a year and a half, 2 years. And I realized that being in partnerships with friends early on, was a tough thing, and especially when they had problems. And he had some problems, and so I decided that I didn't want to be a part of that anymore. And the car business is also a pretty tough industry. It's not the best industry to be in, I don't think, as opposed to building houses. You're dealing with a different type of people in the car industry. It's a little rougher than what I was used to. So,
yep.
And I got a lot of sharks. I got married really young, so wasn't into partying and that kind of thing that comes with the cash with cars and that kind of stuff. So it wasn't a good fit.
Well, good for you. Yeah. So after the detailing thing, and how old are you at this point?
I'm 20, 21, 22, somewhere in there.
Okay, so you're pretty young.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what'd you do after that?
So that fell apart kind of overnight. And I called my dad and I was like, hey, this isn't working out. And so he goes, well, you can work with me. And I was like, all right. So I went back to work for him and at the time he was doing a lot of siding. It was the early and mid 90s. For some reason, he wasn't building any houses at that time, and he had some jobs doing siding. So we were doing a bunch of siding. So I jumped on with him and was doing siding for a couple of years. And that's when I decided to go out on my own, because for the first reason that I left, we kind of bumped heads. And the second time around, we still continued to bump heads. So it was good to move on and start my own thing.
And when you started your own thing, what were you specializing in?
So I started off doing siding, started Clint Holsing Construction. My dad's was his first name. My grandpa was his first name. So I followed along with that and did a lot of siding, and then transitioned into framing. And when I was 27 years old, I got an opportunity to build my first custom house. And very, very thankful for that opportunity, because I didn't just build it, I also drew it. And I had taken some drafting classes back in school a little bit, and in high school to learn AutoCAD. And so I got to design and build my first custom home in downtown Sumner for a customer that put a lot of faith into a young guy that didn't have a ton of experience, but had a lot of experience. So.
Sure. No, that's awesome, man. That's a pretty young age to take on and actually do all the drawings too. So what was permitting like for you back then?
Permitting in Sumner wasn't too bad because it was a small town. Permitting has gotten worse and worse over the years. I know you've dealt with it. We're in the process of building our personal house right now, and we submitted for permits in May of 2024, and we just got our permits in August of 2025. So there's nothing easy about permitting in Washington State. And I think, listening to the podcast and listening to other builders, they deal with it also in California and other areas. And
yeah, I can imagine all those people in Malibu are just going to be a bureaucratic nightmare, man.
The problem,
I feel so bad for those people.
The problem I see with permitting is a lot of times it pushes people that want to follow the rules to not follow the rules, because most people want to do what's right and they want to build with permits and do things. But if you make it so difficult and so many hoops to jump through and drag out the job site, you're going to get the builder or the contractor that's going to go ahead and build a deck, or they're going to do an addition without permits because they're just forced into it. They got to keep working the site, support yourself. I can't wait a year and a half for permits.
Right. Yeah, I feel you, and been there and done that.
Yeah.
Because, obviously if you're building garages or additions to houses, permits are extremely important for the sale of the house, but not too many sales of houses have been held up because you didn't permit the deck.
Yeah.
As long as it's to code, you're probably going to be all right. But
and each jurisdiction has their own rules to jump through too.
So many different issues, and I believe I agree with you. It's just a difficult thing to deal with.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay, so you're Clint Holsing Construction. You're in your late 20s.
Yeah.
You built your first house. How did that feel when you're done?
It felt great.
When you're done.
It felt great up until the point I cut my finger off on the last day of that job.
Wait. We're gonna wait to tell that story in our bonus episode. Yeah, I just got the look.
Yeah,
I just got the look because, dude, I used to call it the bonus feature.
Yeah.
But it's a bonus episode in our Patreon channel, but we're not going to release that until we get to Patreon.
Right on.
So if you want to hear about Clint's story about cutting off his finger, you gotta go subscribe to our Patreon, and that's worth $5, man. I can't wait to hear this.
100%.
I really want to, and I didn't even know if I should ask you about it. I thought about it, but I was like, is it considered, is it protocol, or is it proper to ask somebody like, hey, tell us about cutting off your finger, man?
No. Yeah. We're construction guys, man. You can ask us anything. Like, it doesn't matter.
Awesome.
So,
awesome.
And that was
I can't wait. But if you could just skip it.
Yeah.
for now.
Yeah, my original Instagram handle was finger amp. So finger amp is an amputation.
That's right.
So.
That's right, man. Okay, but just you can glaze over it. So it was great until you cut off your finger.
Yeah. So then you cut off the finger.
Then you cut off your finger.
And
then what
had some time to think about stuff. You know, you're sitting there I cut 2 fingers off, so I'm getting those, and we thought about life and thought about felt sorry for myself for a little bit. And then saw a fishing video of a kid that could fish competitively with no arms and no legs. And on ESPN late at night, and it's like, I'm not going to feel sorry for myself about this. Like, there's people with worse things, and from that point on, I really didn't think too much about the finger being gone, and just we're amazing as humans. We can adapt to anything, and that's
absolutely
staying positive on things. I think is really important, but it's not as bad as people think.
Well, one of the reasons you're here right now with me, and I apologize for not getting back to you yesterday, was a poop show. And I couldn't, because I would have loved to have you over to show you what we're up to and that kind of thing. And maybe we'll still do that once I get back from Deck Expo.
Yeah.
But and we'll talk about that in a minute too. But anyway, was the fact of how positive you are. And just once in a while hearing you chiming in on like if I hit a strike a nerve or maybe an emotion with you online, you reply to it. And those are the kind of people I like to have on our show, because I feel that there's this mutual respect that goes on in the industry with certain people. And I'm grateful for you to be here and hearing about your story, Clint, because I think that's how our audience kind of grows and gets to know you and gets to know the guests that we have on the show. So
yeah.
Okay, so you had a little tragedy,
A little bit, not a lot, just a little bit,
and then you kind of rolled over it, and you got back on top.
Yeah.
And so are you still building? What did you do after that?
So
you got a whole house under your belt.
Yeah. So at that point, my younger brother was working for me, and I had another great employee. And so they were able to keep jobs going while I was mending up. And I was in a cast for quite a while and letting that one finger heal up, and got right back into it. I had an offer from a large builder in this area that we did a lot of work for to get into management with them. And being that I was 27 years old, 28 years old, I guess, I'm not going to not build another house. I wanted to prove it to myself that I could get back and do it. So I healed up. I still had scabs on my finger, taped it up, and threw my nail bags on and went back to work to show myself that I could do it. And I didn't want to end on a down note. So.
Heck no. And that builder, he saw your house and it's like, man, if this guy keeps building houses, he's going to put us out of business. Yeah. We better hire him in. Yeah, we better hire him in.
Yeah. So having my brother,
okay,
I would say having my brother work for me was a huge thing. There's nobody you can trust more than your brother and family. And so we were a great combination for years. We had where I could manage jobs and he could just pound out product. And he was one of, there's a guy called Awesome Framers over in Kitsap County. Yep. And my brother, I'm not on par with Tim, but my brother was definitely on par with Tim when it came to framing. And he was an amazing framer. So
Tim's a very knowledgeable gentleman. We've had him on the podcast, and I've known him for a while, and it's always a joy. We compare notes often, even though we're not in the same realm of work. We both do construction, and he's come over and looked at some of my stuff, and he just keeps shaking his head. He's like, "Man, everything's so precise. Like the precision's crazy over here." Because he's a framer. Yeah. He's used to putting it in nicely, but not without any gap. Yeah. Like minimum gaps are cool when you're a framer, but when you're a finish carpenter for a deck building company, everything has to be tight.
Yeah, yeah. Like you,
lines have to.
I get to call Tim my friend too. We seal their air houses. Him and Brian's houses, we air seal those. And actually, I got to volunteer with him on a project years before I even knew he was Awesome Framers. We were working side by side on a project. So it's kind of cool to have people like that in the industry that you get to be friends and share information.
That is cool. It really is, and it's kind of uncanny that. Like, I'm about 30 minutes from him, and I'm about 30 minutes from you, and it's like we're all interconnected from these different parts of life.
Why are we doing this over the internet then?
Well, he asked if he wanted. He asked if he wanted to come over and actually be um, on the podcast live, and I just told him no. We can do it over the internet. So my bad.
No, it works.
Okay, so when
we have two great people that we're doing a podcast right now, and then we had Tim.
Well, let's do a TriCast. We'll have Clint and Tim here all on at the same time.
That'd be awesome.
What I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, all right. So look, for everybody watching and listening, I'm really new to this. Like, this is our 34th. Yeah. This is our 34th podcast. Which, okay, that sounds like a lot, but it's really not. And I'm still learning, and I think we just maybe struck on something that could be really cool, like having actually everybody here in the same space. And Clint, yeah, that would have been great. I guess I'm the weakest link on this. I don't know, man. I have so much going on this week. I'm leaving. Today's my last day of work for a week. I'm going to Deck Expo, and I'm trying to lay my guys out for the week. And I guess I was just, as soon as you showed up, I'd be like a dog, squirrel.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Clint, what's up? You know, and I
100% get it.
Shut everything else down. Yeah, but anyway, okay, not about me. It's about you. So let's talk more about.
I got to kind of put a little bit more branding into my business. I decided to change the name from Clint Holsing Construction to Holsing Homes, and that kind of picked up on the theme that my grandfather had with his business. And he had been around since 1963, so I figured, hey, I'm a part of that. It's my last name. I took that on as since 1963, even though I was born in '76. And just really, got to kind of grow the business and understand, more about managing a business and running a business, and not just always wearing nail bags. Even though I was a builder that always wore nail bags too, I love the aspect of getting my hands dirty and working. And I don't ever want to be a guy that just sits in the office.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I don't ever sit in the office except on weekends.
Yeah. That's the downside of owning a business is you spend a lot of nights and weekends in the office doing things, but when you're passionate about what you do, it's not always work. Yeah, it gets you in the field.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, awesome. So okay, so you're Holsing Homes now.
Yeah.
And how many homes are you building a year? Are you doing only customs?
We're doing
spec?
custom and specs. We were very small. We were doing 1 to 3 houses a year. Nothing fancy. Okay. I also had a framing crew that my brother was running with me. So we were doing framing for other builders along the side, and then also doing remodel work. So just kind of staying busy doing anything and everything. And then 2009 hit, and 2008 is always, everybody on your episode is their kind of D-Day of when things hit the fan. But 2009 was mine because my brother passed away. So he was in a motorcycle accident, and I lost him very abruptly. And it changes who you are. It changes your life, changes your family, and it changes your business. So.
For real. So do you still ride?
I don't ride the street. He died in a street bike accident. Yeah, that's
all right.
Yeah, and it's
my uncle did too, man.
Yeah,
condolences, brother.
Yeah, it's everybody that rides you have a chance of getting in an accident, and it's this area is. I know you don't ride as much as you used to, and it's probably the traffic. Like I wouldn't want to ride this area unless I was. And if I was going to ride again, it would be weekends only, and it'd be up in the mountains. And even then, you're gonna have a chance of getting in an accident. So for my family, I just choose not to.
Right on. I just mostly putt through town, and hit like University Place, and it's never a crazy ride or whatever. But anyway, okay, cool. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's terrible. Yeah. So when did that happen?
That was September 23rd, 2009. So 2009 was a terrible year for us. I built my dream house in 2000. I bought property in 2007, built my dream house in 2008, finished it in 2009, July of 2009, and went to convert the construction loan. And the bank said, your house is dropped in value. You need to bring $50,000 to closing in order to convert from a construction loan into a conventional loan. And it's like, okay, this is our house. We signed up for it. We're going to do it. So we came up with the money and converted the loan. And then a couple months later, my brother died. And then I really started to feel the effects of the economy at that point, with the loss of him, and then just everything kind of caught up in Washington State too. It was a tough time for builders and construction. And fortunately, I didn't have any spec houses on the market, so I was good in that sense. But just the workflow just dried up really fast.
Mm-hmm. So what happened? So what'd you do? What'd you end up doing?
So you said I'm positive, and I try to always be positive. And I'm fortunate that my mom is in real estate, and she's been a great mentor for me my whole life. And she kept telling me, she's like, you need to start getting into REO properties. There's all these houses that are being foreclosed on. There's not enough people to do the board ups on them, the cleanups on them. So we did a total pivot with the company, and we turned into working with banks doing REOs. And what that entails is when somebody moves out of a house, they leave all their trash. We would go in and trash the house out. I had dump trailers, so that worked. You board up any broken windows, you change the locks, you winterize the house so there's no damage as the house is sitting. And so we did that for a while, and that paid the bills. And we turned it into a pretty profitable business where we were kind of thriving. We had a little bit of a niche and had some good realtors that we were working with. And as the economy started to rebound, then we had our foot in the door with the banks to be able to do the rehabs on the houses. So they had houses that were trashed that needed to be fixed up to be sold. So we got into where we were doing 30-day flips on houses for the banks. So we would go in and we'd have to finance it, but we would replace all the carpet, do any repairs, and had a 30 to 60 day window to get these repairs done. And we'd get them done, and they could turn the houses, and it turned out really good. It was kind of a turn and burn for the bank, and it kept us busy.
Wow. And they pay.
They paid because they own the houses. Yeah. It wasn't like dealing with a homeowner, right. But they definitely paid. That was a nice part of it.
Right on. Yeah. It's consistent.
It's just looking at when things go bad. When things go bad, what are you going to do? You gotta pivot and
pivot.
One, I had a carpenter at the time that was working for me, and I didn't lower anybody's wages in the business. Everybody was making the same. But he was mowing lawns. So part of taking care of the REO properties is also maintaining the yards and keeping them up to the home. If they're in HOA or whatever, keeping them up nice. And he goes, man, I don't mow lawns. I'm a carpenter. And it's like, all right,
see ya.
Go be a carpenter. He didn't want to lower himself to mow lawns, which I'll do anything, whatever it takes to keep a business going and take care of my family.
Yeah, and if you're getting a carpenter's wage to mow grass, bro, count me in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, everybody doesn't see it the same, I suppose.
No, everybody gets to make their own choices.
Okay, so that's 2009-ish.
Yes.
You're doing the what's an REO? Is it a real estate something?
Realty. It's I forget what it stands for now. It's been so long. It's like a whole other lifetime. But it's a bank-owned property. So it's real estate that the bank owns after a foreclosure. When somebody forfeits on their mortgage, the bank takes it over and they hold on to it for a little while. So.
Sure. Interesting. Okay, so where are you at after that? I mean, how long does that last for?
Yeah, so the like I was saying, the business kind of changed into from boarding up houses and securing houses and taking care of them to remodeling them. So we got to flipping houses and for the banks. And as that started to progress, then the economy started turning around and people started building houses. And so I got back into building houses and doing some more framing and the things that I loved. And then in 2016, another company that I was familiar with and they knew me really well asked me to come and be a general manager for them of their Tacoma office. So I went and worked for them, managing a home builder that we built. We had like 50 houses. So we're doing 30 to 50 houses. We had 30 to 50 houses on the books at one time. And I was doing there was a sales manager and then a construction manager and office manager. And I was kind of overseeing the office and getting that new office up and off the ground. They have they're an on-your-lot builder, so they have offices all over the Pacific Northwest. And I was fortunate to get to work for them and learned a lot and eventually learned that it's not my style of business, that I like more of the smaller building, hands-on stuff. I wasn't cut out for building 50 houses at a time and managing that many customers.
Right.
And then at the same time, customers were changing too. You're getting the internet with social media, and it's good and bad, and people doing blogs and all kinds of different things. And I had one customer that she was a mommy blogger, and she blogged and said that my builder is already lying to me. My framers are supposed to show up on Monday, and it's 11 o'clock and they're still not here. And it's just like, okay, that's
wow.
If you know me, you know I'm not a liar, and had to have the conversation and set the expectation that a subcontractor is not your employee and they're not a slave. If they give you the information that they're going to be there on Monday morning and they don't show up, something happened. It's construction. The last job ran over. They're taking care of stuff. And we don't freak out in construction until it's getting close to a deadline, and then we start to freak out. But as long as they make their deadlines, you can't micromanage your subcontractors.
Right. Exactly. So when you decided to go to work for this large builder, did you just shut down Helsing Homes?
Yes, everything kind of worked out where it was at a good point. Going back to losing my brother, I didn't ever imagine doing it without having him around, and it was hard not having that, and it was time for me to have a change and do something different that kind of got me part of a team instead of doing once Jordan died, I was everything kind of fell on my shoulders. So I was looking for a team environment to be able to build houses with a team instead of doing it on my own. So.
Okay.
But I learned that it wasn't my thing. So, and that's
okay. All right. So it's not your jam, man. That's okay. So what's next for Clint?
So that's when you met me. I had a friend that worked for Louisiana Pacific, and they were looking for a new salesperson in the Oregon market. They wanted somebody down there. And so I had quit working for the builder and was kind of figuring out what I was going to do. And he's like, man, you should apply for this. I think you'd be really good at it. And I was like, yeah, I think I would too. Like, I'm pretty confident. I know that, what I can do and what I can't do, but that's something, talking to people and doing sales is something that I love to do. And I got that background, and I can also come at it from a different approach to where I had installed the siding before. And that was my whole thing. So they took a chance in me. And I know you usually ask your interview people if they went to college, and we kind of skipped over that. I did not go to college.
Oh, we did.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, I didn't go to college, and getting hired by a large corporation like Louisiana Pacific with no college degree, I can't think of anybody else in my position at the company that didn't have a college degree. So I was one of a few that, was just hired based off of my experience and my skill set from just learning in the field. So I went to work for Louisiana Pacific in 2017 as a sales rep. And as soon as I got hired, then they said, actually, we don't want somebody in Oregon. We want them to stay right where you're at. And I was like, okay, perfect. I don't got to move to Oregon. So I'll stay here. And so
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So by the time you went into LP, that whole siding debacle is over and done with?
Yeah, so that was in the mid 90s. It was called Interseal. It had a failure. Washington State and Oregon was ground zero for that. At the time, Louisiana Pacific, their corporate headquarters was in Portland. This is one of their biggest markets for Interseal, and everybody knows the Interseal story. There's the Smart Side guys that are taking on the new product, a Smart Side that's been out since 1996. And then there's the Hardy guys, and those guys kind of butt heads just like Ford and Chevy guys. And that's it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, now Hardy. So now the TimberTech and AZEK guys are Hardy guys, because Hardy just bought it.
Yeah, no, I saw that, and
it's going to be interesting to see how that all rolls out.
Yeah,
I'm still on pins and needles about it, but anyway, okay, so now you're working for LP, and you're repping siding.
Yeah, so I was
all the products, or what?
I was just repping siding, so I was in charge of the remodel repair. It was a new division that they'd started up to go after the reside contractors in particular, and the one step. So the ABCs, that kind of one step distribution, along with the remodel contractors. So I did that. My territory was kind of big. I was Washington and Oregon. And
Oh wow.
yeah, so I got to meet a lot of great contractors, but I was selling a product at one of the worst areas in the country as far as the debacle with the Interseal trying to sell a product. It was tough.
Did you get a lot of pushback?
Oh yeah, it was tons of pushback, and had some fun things that happened with that. I'm pretty vocal about things, so and social media got me into a little bit of problems where I was sending some emails and doing some stuff, talking about Hardy, and they pulled me into. I was flown back and deposed for a lawsuit between LP and Hardy, and that was a fun situation because you're sitting at a long table and you have attorneys on one side that are representing your company, and you have attorneys on the other side, and at the end of the table is a camera and they're recording you. And these are all like high power attorneys that are asking questions and wanting to kind of dig into old emails. And I knew I wasn't in the wrong because I was just speaking from personal experience and speaking facts. I wasn't saying anything that wasn't true. I was talking about tools, and hey, if you want to come at me as an attorney and talk about tools, let's roll, because I know more about tools than any attorney in the United States. So I can hold my own. And I got to the point where I felt a little bit like Melissa Tomei, my cousin Vinny, the girl that starts breaking down the car when she's getting interviewed on the stand. And the attorney asked me something about woodpeckers, and they're like, well, in this one email, you're saying blah, blah, blah about woodpeckers. What makes you an expert on woodpeckers? And I was like, well, actually, I copied and pasted that from the National Audubon Society's website. And it was just like, turn the page, done. We're not going to talk about this no more. So it was kind of fun to get wrapped up into that, but then also know that I didn't do anything wrong. I was just speaking from my own experience.
Interesting. Wow, man. So, okay, that's just, it's kind of crazy how depending on what you say and how you say it then they're taking legal copy of it. That's crazy.
Yeah. And going through emails.
Hey, goes to show you, all you younglings out there, be careful what you put out on the internet, because it can come back and bite you in the butt later in life.
100%. It's out there forever.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, and people can screen grab that and save it and then throw it right back in your face.
Yep. Yeah, I could never run for president at this point in my life. Like, that's not even, I put enough stuff out there. Like, that chapter closed before it even started.
Okay, so let's go back a second. So the first time I met you, I think I was down in Portland, Oregon, at a JLC live show, and I stumbled upon your booth, and you immediately knew who I was. I didn't know you, but you knew me.
Yeah.
And that was a really awesome feeling. Like, and you were so happy and so gracious to meet and talk, and you're like, hey, man, are you interested? Can I buy you a meal? Can I buy something? I'm like, wow, this guy's he's awesome, you know? And so you invited me out to dinner, and we went out to dinner and had a really great meal together. And you were with LP at that point, right?
Yeah, I was with LP at that point. So
how
LP took us both out to dinner.
Oh, thanks, LP. How, let's see, how long had you been working for them at that point?
So I think I met you at JLC in 2019. I was kind of thinking about that the other day. I think it was 2019. So I've been there about a year.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, maybe a year and a half.
So that was not fresh off my accident, but I had been kind of injured a year prior, I think, or something like that. So I was probably limping around a little bit, maybe in a brace. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But
you didn't have the scooter.
How did you know? You knew of me through social media, or?
Yeah, through social media. I'd been watching your builds and trying to think I think you were on one of the Lake Taps builds, and so I had been watching that, and really, I lived in I built around Lake Taps, and so it was fun seeing you build on a lake that I lived on. That's
awesome. Yeah, and I think you actually gave me some good advice on a couple of builds, like some siding problems we were having on one of our builds, and you gave me some really solid advice about that, and then was even willing to come out and look at it if we needed you to. So it's really cool when you have local reps that will go the extra mile for you as a contractor, especially a contractor like me. Like, I'm not an expert at siding houses, but I probably deal with it on just about, I've probably dealt with more types of siding than, or just as much as most siding guys do, because we're constantly on an existing home. It's hardly ever that we do a brand new build, and we're constantly ripping things off the sides of houses, you know?
Yeah.
So cement siding is a little bit more difficult to deal with than other types because how brittle it becomes after it's installed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's different there's a lot of different tools in the toolbox. None of them are perfect. And the same goes with materials. There's a lot of products to use and they all have their place, and you choose for what's best for the product that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
What you need it for.
Okay, so how long did you work with LP for?
So I was with LP for about 5 years. And that was just a great experience learning. Unfortunately, the last part of my career was through the COVID years, and doing sales during COVID was really tough because there's this, not just the not having personal contact and doing Zoom calls. That's why I called you. I didn't want to do a Zoom because I've had a lifetime of Zoom calls already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just from COVID. So it's having that personal, like you're saying, with your builder, with your representatives from your products, having that personal relationship is really important, and it's hard to do. It's hard to do when you're doing it all remotely. And then we had allocation, so nobody could foresee COVID bringing on a major building boom, and then every manufacturer was out of material, and so you're at the point where you sell a product, but you don't have a product to sell. So what do you do? So it was kind of a struggle at that time.
I hate that word because I've been a victim of it. I've been a victim of it several times as well, especially when a decking company's like, ooh, here's the latest, greatest thing ever. And everybody jumps on board at once, and then everybody buys it. And then you're down you're 5 boards short, and you go to get more, and they're like, oh, we won't have it for 16 weeks.
Yeah.
You're like,
what do you do?
What do you mean? Should I drive to Nevada and go to the plant and pick some up? Or, it's just crazy to think it would take, 4 months to get something back. But that's what's nice about some companies that are well stocked, It can be a difficult transition to a new product if you can't get it. And allocation is a really nasty word, man.
It's for a builder, it's brutal.
Yeah. Okay, so you come up on this a pivotal point in your life, right?
Yeah.
And is this where kind of Cascade how do you pronounce that again? Aero Barrier?
Aero Barrier, yeah. So Cascade Aero Barrier. Yeah. So it's one of the things with being a builder is I always ask questions. I love to talk to people and ask questions. And one of the biggest headbutts that I had with my dad was that I was always asking questions and always talking to other people about stuff. And being an old school dad, he thinks that when you ask questions, it means you don't know what you're doing. And
absolutely.
My generation, I think when I ask questions, I'm trying to get better at my trade and learn something. So we really butted heads about that. So I've always been inquisitive about why we do things. The term building science came along, and it's like, this is awesome. I want to know why we build houses. I want to know why that we do things and why we're changing how we build houses. So I got really involved with building science. Even when I was at, before that, and then when I was at LP, I started learning more and more about building science. And I was at a seminar with Gord Cook from Construction Instruction. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but they're a building science company, and they just consult with builders. They teach building science and consult with builders. And he was talking about this product, Aero Barrier, and another contractor that I'm really good friends with was in the audience also. And he's like, man, this is something we got to do. This is a cool product. And I'm like, it is a cool product, but I also love my job at LP, so I'm not really interested. So I ended up starting that business, Cascade Aero Barrier, with my good friend and another partner, and then my wife Rael, who you've met also. And Rael was a pivotal point in this product and this company because she always ran our Holsing home. She always worked with me and was a big part of that. And when I went to work for LP, she wasn't doing anything. And so my good friend Charles was doing Cascade Aero Barrier with Rael, and it was going good. And I could just be a kind of consultant and have a little bit to say, but not really have to do anything. And then a little while into it, Charles had some personal things. He had to leave the company. So more work got pushed on to what I was doing. And that's when I decided, like, okay, it's time to either close this business or step away from LP and become, do this full time. And so I chose to go to work and run this business with my wife.
Cool.
And our other partner.
And how long have you had that for now?
Do that. So we started that. Cascade Aero Barrier was started in 2019. And it was really just a hobby business for the first few years because the energy code in Washington hadn't changed. People didn't quite understand what air sealing was and how important it is. And the code wasn't really forcing it. And it's really hard to get builders to change doing something unless it's code driven. And so the code has really helped grow the business, along with just the education of people are understanding. We always used to be told, we build houses too tight. And it's the thing is, we can't build a house too tight. You can build a house too tight and not ventilate it properly, but there's no such thing as a house too tight, because anytime you ask a customer how big of a hole do you want in your wall, they're always going to say, I don't want a hole in my wall. So that tells you that you need to seal a house really tight and then apply the proper ventilation.
Okay, so explain to me how your process works. And are you doing this on existing homes, remodels, brand new homes, all the above, or what's your common?
So primarily we do it primarily it's new construction. We do some remodels and some retrofits. It's the only product on the market that's able to seal a house the way we do it, and it really is using science and physics. There's a complicated way of explaining it, and there's a really simple way of explaining it. I'm going to give you the simple way. Is we fill a house up with aerosolized caulking. It's a fog. We fog the whole house up. We hook up a computer and a blower door to the house, and we pressurize the house. So the house is under positive pressure. And the computer system is reading the amount of sealant that's going in, the humidity, the temperature, and it's also reading how many square inches of leakage there is and how much CFM of leakage there is. So as the house is under positive pressure, it's pushing all those small particles to every leak in the building envelope, and it's sealing it up, similar to like how a blood clot slowly coagulates on itself and closes up. It's doing that with air leaks in the house. So when a builder has a certain target that they have to hit, we can dial it in and seal the house to that exact target, and then go a little bit below that to give them a little bit of a buffer in case something changes in the house as well.
Can you see this stuff when you blow it in the house?
It looks like San Francisco inside the house. It's fog. It's a white fog.
Really?
It's an acrylic latex based sealant. It's non-toxic, low VOC, no off-gassing. It's been tested. It's green gold guard certified, so it can be used in hospitals and schools as well. So it really is. It's basically like a paint that's a glue, and it seals it up.
So you wouldn't want to go into
there's no off-gassing.
Somebody's
it's a very cool technology.
Home that has fully furnished stereo equipment and stove and all that. You don't do that. This is designed for a. Go ahead.
No, we come in on an existing house if it's a remodel.
Fine. Yeah, go ahead. You go in on.
Froze up again. There you are. Yeah, so we can go into an existing house if there's a major remodel going on. We don't want to get sealant in grandma's piano or in Jason's speaker system. We want to make sure that there's no personal items in the house, because it is an aerosolized caulking that's everywhere. And when we turn the fan off, it drops straight down. It doesn't stick to walls, doesn't stick to the ceiling, but it's going to stick to any horizontal surfaces.
So I had no idea that this technology was out there. But you basically blow a floating caulk or floating sealant throughout the entire house and put it under pressure and try to find every place that the house is leaking. So what if you find a spot that's like too big to seal?
Yeah, so we have our sealant will seal up to a 1/2 inch. So it's going to get big spots. But we go through the house, and all we do is Aero Barrier. We don't do any other services. So our guys are really trained, and we all have a lot of experience at this. So there's certain leak spots that we go to instantly to check and make sure there's no big gaps. But as the house is sealing, also, we have full face respirators. So we're going in the house checking, and there's indicators when there is a leak that's too big. There's a graph. So the computer tracks it, and there's a graph. If the graph flatlines and you see a plateau, it means that there's a big hole, and there's a reason why the house has stopped sealing. So we can go and find that big hole and seal it up. So there's some computers behind it.
So is the sheetrock done before you guys go in, or do they wait till you do it before sheetrock?
Yeah, we can do it both ways. If the attic is unconditioned, so if you're going to have a non-vented attic, we can do it at framing. Typically, the type of builds we do in the Pacific Northwest, most attics are ventilated, so we're doing it after drywall finishes. So before any electrical trim out or any trim is going in, or flooring, cabinets, but right after texture, and we're going in and sealing the house up.
Cool. So I think we'll wait to talk about pricing until our bonus episode. But that is really unique. So is this stuff, how is it injected into the house?
So we have emitters. We get it in 5-gallon pails, and we have emitters that turn it into a fog. So we have emitters placed throughout the house to create the fog.
So is it like a secret sauce that you guys have, that a proprietary product?
Yeah, so this is, the parent company is Aero Seal. They started in 1994 sealing ductwork. And it started out with big commercial properties. You have a lot of leakage coming from the ductwork. So it was sealing the ductwork from the inside. And then as the building codes got stricter with air exchanges for houses, they've adapted it to using inside houses to seal them up. So we buy our equipment, we buy our sealant, and we pay a licensing fee to the corporate Aero Seal also. So we're a licensed dealer.
Is it like a franchise almost that you have, or?
So, similar, but not as many restrictions as a franchise. So we pay a per foot licensing fee to Aero Seal for every job that we do.
Okay. And then how are you obtaining the projects, and how many are you guys doing right now? Is it per week or month or year or whatever?
Yeah, so we're growing this year. We're going to grow about 70%.
Wow.
As of September 1st, we're at 649 seals. We're going to finish the year a little over 900 seals. So we're really, really pumping it out.
So you guys are doing 3 homes a day, at least,
or more. Yeah.
So how many teams do you have out blowing this special secret sauce into these houses?
So we can break apart. We run. Going back to being a builder, I'm very systems oriented. You do things and you do it the same way. And Henry Ford is a great inspiration, because he did things the same way, and you're able to just keep improving and improving on that. So we have some systems in place that have really made us efficient, to where a lot of our jobs we're doing with one guy, where other companies are doing them with 2 or 3 man teams. We have it dialed to the point where we're doing a lot of jobs with one person. So we're the largest in Washington State. We have 6 machines, so we can do we can break apart and have 6 machines going, or we can have 2-man teams or 3-man teams, kind of depending on the size of the build and the type of build that it's doing. Because we do commercial also, do a lot of townhomes, do some apartments, single family. So it really varies on the type of job that we're doing, how big of a team we
do you service all of Washington, or?
Yes, we do the I-5 corridor. This is the thing where it's a lot different than building houses, to where you're not married to a job for 9 months or a year. It's a one-day job. So when you have a job that only lasts one day and you need to do multiple jobs a day, we go from Centralia up to the San Juan Islands and over to Cle Elum and out to Port Angeles. So we cover a pretty big area, and travel is just part of the job.
Okay, so the equipment that you need to blow in the stuff, is it on a trailer, or is it on a truck that you drive, or how is it set up?
We have it all set up into ProMaster vans. So we have a box truck and then 3 ProMaster vans, and then we have 2 trailers, one that's not being used. So we can use a trailer or a box truck, but early on we had a trailer, and the way that jobs are situated, it's such a hard. You deal with trailers and stuff. Like,
I know.
Imagine building a deck in downtown Seattle and having to pull your trailer in there.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll just watch somebody else do it because I ain't doing it. The trailer I have with the amount of equipment that we bring to a project, it's stupid. Like, we look like prima donnas with all the crap we have. Like, that we don't even. Some guys are like, man, I can build this with a skill saw. Just a skill saw, man. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Clint from Cascade Aero Barrier. Aero Barrier? Did I get it?
Cascade Aero Barrier.
Clint Holsing from Cascade Aero. Clint Holsing from Cascade Aero Barrier. Aero Barrier. Aero.
Barrier.
Is that what it is? Aero? Or is it AERO? Or is it ARRO?
It's pronounced. It's pronounced Aero, like aerospace. So,
but it's spelled.
It's a
AERO, right?
Yep, like aerospace.
That's what's tripping me. Okay, I'm gonna get it now. Here comes the outro, Calvin. Mark it. So he'll take all the crap out. That's what's so cool about having Calvin here. So okay. Oh, he's probably gonna make a blooper reel of me for the it'll be great. All right.
I love
Clint Holsing from Cascade Aero Barrier. Did I get it? I nailed it. I nailed it.
First try.
15th try. Thank you. Wow. Dude, you really gave me a whole new perspective on your career and life. And that's what this podcast is all about. It's not just about what you're doing right now. We obviously, we want to know how to get a hold of you. Like, tell us how we're going to get a hold of you if we want to blow gray fog throughout our house to make sure it's sealed properly. How do we call you?
Yeah. So we're Instagram. We're on the web. We have a website, cascadeaerobarrier.com. We're really easy to find. So you can. Okay. All you gotta do is Cascade Aero Barrier, or Aero Barrier has a way of looking it up also off their website. But we're easy to find.
But just for the dense people out there, how do you spell Aero Barrier? AEROBARRIER. Okay. Do you see the irony in that? I do. I totally do.
Yeah.
Especially when you went
I didn't come up with that part of the name.
Right?
Yeah.
Understood. That's a tough one to have an Instagram handle too. Okay. We got to wrap up, man. But hey, if you want to hear more about how Clint cut his fingers off, join us over on our bonus episode of our Patreon channel, because that's where we're heading next, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. And thank you guys for coming. Clint, thank you for being such a great guest. We really appreciate you, man. All right, guys. Have a great day.